Faith, and I'm here to give you your faithful bit of the day. So this is a new segment I'm starting here on my YouTube channel because I see such a need for moms on YouTube who are Christians. They're burnt out, they crash on their bed or on their couch, and they open up their YouTube app and they're just ready to veg out. And we have such a need here for Christian discipleship and for a Christian community here on YouTube. And so I'm here to start up the conversation. So hello, my name is Faith. I'm a fellow mom. I have a 10-month-old. I live a pretty normal life. I make videos on here about cleaning, about ministry life. My husband is a pastor. I'm a runner if you're interested in that. I make videos on here about like just mommy lifestyle, cleaning, all that kind of stuff. So think about subscribing if you like content like this. But let's dive into what I wanted to talk about. So you clicked on this video. Whether or not you are a Christian, you clicked on this video because you're like, what? Nobody talks about Jesus on YouTube. Or maybe you're like, who still believes in Jesus in 2019? Or maybe you're like me and you clicked on this video ready to critique me and critique my theology. But maybe that's just me. I'm a Bible nerd. So I kind of want to talk about today, like this huge, big question under talked about in the church. And it's, what does God want from mommies? And as you can see, I titled this as Jesus for Mommies. This is a time for mommies together to fellowship in the Word and for us to talk about a topic about the Bible or something that matters to the cross. Here we are. I want to talk about today, what does God want from mommies? And I think that's a really under-addressed topic. We play a vital, important role in the world. We are literally raising the next generation, and we have such an influence on them. And what we do every single day influences them. We all know that. I think we don't spiritualize it, maybe that's the wrong word, but we don't talk about what an important role we play for the kingdom in our day-to-day job. So let me just set the groundwork really quick, okay? So you are raising a child, you birthed this child, you adopted this child, whatever it looks like, you are raising this child, maybe you're raising multiple children, I don't even know, and they are in your home. They see you from sun up to sundown. I mean, maybe there's a few hours in the evening after they've gone to bed, but they see you in your most intimate moments.
On the pot dropping a deuce to cursing at the bad driver on the road.
They see you in your most intimate moments, and they judge because they're figuring out the world, they're forming a worldview, and they're watching your example, and they're learning from you. And so literally, they're watching you and they're taking note. And so your life, your job as a mom is to be on the mission field 24/7. And they're in your space 24/7, pulling on your hair and walking in when you're trying to pee. You are called and you've been appointed this position of missionary to these kids, and it is hard work, and you fail them every single day. At least I know I fail my child every single day. And so we're constantly feeling like failures. We're constantly feeling like we don't measure up to the perfect mom on Instagram. And we say that we are Christians and we are trying to pursue him, but at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day even, we are so exhausted. We have 15 minutes to crack open our Bible maybe and to try and read, and instead we're here on YouTube scrolling through videos, or at least that's what I do because I'm so exhausted. The only energy I have left is to veg. And so I'm here to meet you there. We need to create a community here on YouTube where we can encourage other women towards Christ and towards righteousness, because that is our only hope. If you are a Christian today, you know what I'm talking about. Christ is our only hope. The only means by which we live is by the cross and by Christ and by his sacrifice on the cross.
So anyway, that's a huge tangent.
But let's just dive in. What does God want from me today? I took some notes. Let me get them. Okay, so first things first, a lot of us think about Proverbs 31 and yeah, that's awesome. It's a chapter that talks about a valuable wife. And don't get me wrong, I love Proverbs 31, but I don't think it actually answers most of our questions. And we love to go to it in girls' Bible studies, and I know as a youth, man, that was pounded into my brain. But what does it actually say about godly wifehood and motherhood? It says that she works super duper hard. It says she cares about the poor and not about herself. It says that she takes care of her family really well. It says that she's wise. Those are all super great things to have and super great characteristics that I want to have. But those are all kind of immeasurable. I don't really know if I'm actually working hard, because my definition of working hard might be different from your definition of working hard. And like, I think we all take care of our family, but what are they talking about there? Because they're acting like she's super special. So what does that actually look like? And so I think we can go to Proverbs 31 all day long, and we can like try and act like it answers all of our questions all day long. But at the end of the day, we need more. We need something that kind of lays out what God expects of us as women and as mothers, the super hard job of being moms. And so that's where I go to Deuteronomy 6:4-5. And you might have already heard of this. If you don't, here's a vocab word. It's called the Shema. And it was kind of like the basis given to God's people. Like, this is what I expect of you. This is what you're called to do. It goes to the heart of basically all issues. Let me just open it up in my Bible so that you're not like, what translation is she reading? I'm actually in the NLT. This is the Bible that my church gave me when I graduated high school, and haven't changed. So shout out to my little whoever gave it to me. Listen, O Israel. Listen, O Israel. The Lord our God, the Lord is alone. He's the only God. He's number one. Woo! Okay. And you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. Wait, what? You expect what of me? So I'm supposed to love the Lord with all of my heart, with all of my soul, and with all of my strength. And that doesn't just apply to mommies. That doesn't just apply to women. That applies to everybody, all of God's people. We're supposed to love God with all of our heart, with all of our soul, and with all of our strength. That is the calling. Like, that is making God God, is it not? Then it goes on, and it really it gives you the picture of parents. So it says, and you must commit yourselves wholeheartedly to these commands that I'm giving you today. Repeat them again and again to your children. Repeat them again and again to your children. What is it that we're supposed to repeat? The commands that God has given us. Talk about them when you're at home, and when you're on the road, when you're going to bed, and while you're getting up. So you're supposed to talk and remind your family constantly. Repeat them again and again to your children. Talk about them when you're at home, when you're on the road, when you're going to bed, when you're getting up. We're supposed to constantly remind our children about the commands of the Lord.
What does that mean? Oh my goodness.
The point is that we're supposed to love God with our whole heart, our whole soul, and all of our strength. And then we're supposed to teach our children and raise our children and constantly be talking about the commands of the Lord and living in those commands. And so I think it goes down to the issue of do I love God with my whole heart? Do I love God with my whole soul? And do I love God with my whole strength? Because that is what he's asked of me. And I'm supposed to respond to his love for me and to his sacrifices on the cross, saving my soul. I'm supposed to respond in faith and give him my all and surrender all of me at the foot of the cross. And then I'm supposed to know his commandments so well that I'm talking about them all day, all night, when I walk, when I go down the road, everywhere. All day, all night, when I walk, when I go down the road, everywhere. And teach my children at night. And so it's okay, it is clearly laid out. There's no question about what God demands of us. He has given us his all, and he is a jealous God. Deuteronomy 4:24 says God is a jealous God. He's jealous for our hearts. He sees our distractions, our sin struggles, us lusting after the, super fancy, pretentious person on YouTube that's got a perfect house. And we're like, man, I wish I had her house. And he's like, stop loving her. Love me. I've died for you. I've given you perfect righteousness before me. I've called you out from sin. I've redeemed you as my bride. Love me. God just is jealous for our love. And so as we respond in faith to his love, we're called to raise up children and raise up a community of people who are going to respond to his love and to his commandments by marinating in it and relishing, and through talking about his commandments, through talking about his goodness, through constantly staying in the love of Christ, we are actually worshiping him. And so ultimately, us loving the Lord God with all of our heart, with all our soul, and with all of our strength is ultimately worshiping all the time, worshiping with our soul, worshiping with our hearts, and worshiping with our strength. And so I think that is what God calls us to as moms, to raise up a household, to raise up a community, to raise up other moms with us who are all going to shout the praises of our good, good God. And so that's what I want to encourage you today. You are not alone. One, you're not the only Christian mom on YouTube. I'm here too, girlfriend. So let's comment and talk down below. But also just you are called as a mommy to raise up your children to love the Lord God and to love the Lord God so much. And so I think that looks like, teaching your kids catechisms. A lot of people don't know about catechisms. It's kind of like a denominational thing. It depends what denomination you're in and stuff like that. But it's basically just like, what do you believe? And it's kind of question and answer. And they come in like adult forms, and they also like have simplified them and written them more simply for kids to be able to understand it. And it's like, why do we exist?
To love God and enjoy Him forever.
Basic stuff like that. And you can literally go through the catechisms when you're driving, when you're just walking around the house cleaning, when you are, sending your kids off to school for the day. Like, you can say, hey, remember, why do we love God? Why does the Trinity exist? Whatever. And then they have this foundation of the faith that they cannot walk away from because it is ingrained in their hearts and souls. And you are actually raising them up to love and to cherish and to worship God. You're showing them by example what it means to live with an attitude of worship, because we have a good God who we want to worship. This gives us the attitude of, we're not just supposed to work hard. Like, we're not just supposed to like make sure our family's taken care of. Like, what does that even look like? No, in fact, we're supposed to live a life surrounded by and directed by faith, charging us into love and charging us into ministry and charging us into serving our families, or whatever that looks like. We are supposed to live a life of faith and of surrender and worship at the foot of the cross. So I don't know if you guys know this, but Hebrews 11 is like the faith chapter. And the whole chapter is talking about like all these like giants of the faith, but they're like super faithful acts of worship towards God. Like, Abraham trusted God and it was counted to righteousness. And then like Hagar did this and it was super righteous, and like blah, 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 blah. And a lot of it just comes down to like them acting in faith. No, it always comes down to them acting in faith in response to God and His promises. And we're like super inspired by all these giants of the faith. And then you get to Hebrews 12. So Hebrews 11 goes through, we want to emulate these people and kind of follow their faithful examples, right? And then it leads into chapter 12. And chapter 12 goes,
let me give it to you, girlfriend.
therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great, huge crowd of witnesses in the life of faith, that makes me think of my kids. Like, since I'm surrounded by such a great crowd of witnesses in my life of faith, let's strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that so easily trips us up. So it's saying, since you're surrounded by witnesses, since everybody's watching you, you're leading by example, strip off all the weights and all the sins and all the temptations, and let's run with endurance the race God has set before us. We do this by keeping our eyes on Jesus, the champion who initiates and perfects our faith. Because of the joy awaiting Him, He endured the cross, disregarding its shame. So what is Hebrews 12 saying now? Is saying, now that you've seen all these great examples of believers and their great faithful acts, of worship, respond in faith by stripping away all the sin that easily entangles you, all the temptations, and run after God in response to Jesus' sacrifice on the cross. And that is what we're called to do. We're called to love Him with our whole heart, our whole mind, and all of our strength. Okay, get quiet because I will see you guys in the next Jesus for Mommies video. Comment down below if this helps you, if it got you thinking about anything else, if you have any questions. If you just want to comment down below, please comment down below, because I love responding and reading and talking. And I actually honestly found like really good friends through YouTube and through Mommies on YouTube. And we talk on Facebook or talk on Instagram or whatever. And so comment down below. I'll put my Instagram handle or whatever it's called and we can find ourselves there or whatever. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. I so appreciate the Christian moms on YouTube and just this community, and I want to harness it and for us to encourage each other. Thanks so much. Have an awesome day. Bye guys. That was stupid. Or I don't know.